Oh, hi everybody. Welcome. Are you ready to learn some English and hopefully have some fun at the same time? This is English Addict coming to you live from the birthplace of English, which just happens to be England. Don't worry, that's not me screaming. Oh dear. Are we on? I'm assuming that we are on now, and I assume that we are live. Something very different happening today. I hope you are having a good day. I suppose first of all I should say hi everybody. This is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? That is the most important thing of all. Are you feeling happy today? Welcome to a beautiful day. The weather is fantastic. Please excuse me, I am eating a polo mint. A lot of people ask if I ever eat anything to help my throat. Well, I normally have a polo mint before I go on. The only problem is it is now in my mouth, blocking my throat. It's incredibly hot here today. Oh my goodness. All I can say is it is really, really hot. I'm just going to make sure that you can hear me. It is now in my mouth. Yes. Good. I always like to check these things. You may have noticed things are slightly different today. There is a reason for that. Well, there are some reasons, many reasons, most of which I am not going to talk about today. But let's just say at the moment, lots of things are going on. Some of them good things and some of them not so good. And that's all we're saying today. I know what you're thinking. By the way, crunching on hard sweets is not good for your teeth. It is not good for your teeth at all. So for those wondering what is going on, my name is Duncan. I live in England, and that's where I am at the moment, standing in the garden, talking to you live right now. At, what time is it? It is 11 minutes past 2 o'clock here in the UK. I don't know what time it is where you are, because I'm not there. Ooh, I've just been rushing around, you see, setting this up. So this is slightly different today, and yes, I know what you're thinking. Where is Steve? Mr. Steve is somewhere around here. I'm not sure where, but he is lurking around in the garden. We might see him soon. I don't know. We might not. Can I say hello to the live chat? Something different. Yes, I will mention this a few times. This is slightly different from my usual Sunday live stream. There are many reasons for that, and all of the reasons I can't talk about for various reasons. So there are many reasons why I can't talk about the reasons why things are different today. I know, it's very strange. So here we are then, we are live with the live chat, and everything is super duper today. Everything is rather nice. There is only one thing missing, and that is a certain person called Mr. Steve. Where is Mr. Steve? Can you see Mr. Steve? I'm not sure what he's doing. I think maybe he's waiting for something. Hello, Mr. Steve.
Ciao.
You look very suspicious today.
Well, Mr. Duncan, you said make a show when you come on.
Make a show.
Today, so I thought I'd bring with me this trusty suitcase.
You know what this looks like? This looks like maybe you are delivering a ransom to someone. It looks like the sort of case. Have you ever noticed in TV shows, whenever they deliver a ransom, maybe for a hostage or someone who is in captivity, they always carry one of these and they put all the money in there.
Well, I was on the way to a very important meeting, Mr. Duncan. Of course, if you want to look important when you're going to a meeting, you have to have a suitcase.
You do, it's true.
Although these days, you probably should carry a laptop. Because this is very old-fashioned. This is, in fact, my father's old suitcase.
Is it?
Pure leather. Yes.
I thought that smell was you.
What, that old fusty smell? What, you think I smell of old leather?
You smelt like old leather, but it isn't. It's Mr. Steve's suitcase. It
Yes.
looks like a suitcase, but it's actually a briefcase, isn't it?
A briefcase, yes. A briefcase, I should say. A briefcase.
So quite often people will put their important documents in there, although not many people use them nowadays, do they?
Briefcase. You are right, Mr. Duncan. I got it wrong. It's not a suitcase.
It's
a
not a-
suitcase is for going on holiday.
Yes, and putting your clothes in.
It's a briefcase for your briefs.
Okay, just a moment, Steve. I need to adjust the camera. You carry on.
Yes, so when I say briefs, of course, I mean documents, which is briefs is another word for documents. It's also a word for your underwear. Men's underwear are called briefs. So it's not a suitcase. It's not a suitcase at all, is it, Mr.? It's not a briefcase for putting your underwear in. It's a
No.
briefcase for putting your documents
That's
in,
it.
your briefs.
That is a completely different word altogether.
And I don't know why I've decided to come on with this today, Mr. Duncan, but you did say come on with an idiom, an idea for an idiom.
Well, this can be used in many ways. If you have a case, it means you have something that needs to be done, maybe something that needs to be solved. So the police will quite often have a case to solve, a mystery, maybe a murder or a robbery or a kidnapping. And perhaps this case has the ransom inside. Maybe.
Well, I'm hoping for money when I open it. I'm hoping that my father, when I can work out the combination,
Okay.
To the suitcase, maybe inside I will discover that my father left me lots of £50 notes
Or maybe not.
inside, but forgot to tell me before he died. So I'm hoping that when I open this, there is a lot of money inside and we can comfortably retire, Mr. Duncan.
Yes, I don't think there's any chance of that.
Not that we would retire.
Okay, Steve.
Well, you told me to talk about the briefcase, and I have.
Okay.
Open and shut case?
Yes, an open and shut case. So imagine a case opening. Don't do it here because it won't work. There's not enough room. You'll end up knocking everything over.
I'll pretend.
So if you open a case, it means you are investigating. If you close a case, it means you stop investigating, or maybe you have solved the mystery, you see. So when we talk about an open and shut case, we mean something that is easy to solve. It is a simple problem with an easy solution. So we might say it's an open and shut case.
Or
It's it's easy to solve.
Or you could put down the case, or drop the case. If you drop the case, like the police might drop a case, it means that they stop investigating it.
Yes, for various reasons.
For various reasons. Whereas I could drop this case, which incidentally has already been dropped because it's damaged on one side.
Steve told me that his father once reversed his car over this case.
Yes,
And all I can say is, yes, it looks like it.
yes, because it's got some damage.
It's okay,
Damage underneath.
I can wait.
Yeah, so if I dropped this case, it would damage it. But if the police dropped a case, it just means they're stopping investigating. A case, for example, of what Mr. Duncan and Mr. Steve are up to in Much Wenlock, because we're very suspicious. And you were wandering around Much Wenlock this week doing some special filming.
Something really weird happened.
And the police were probably investigating you, but I would imagine they will discover that, in fact, you were just doing perfectly innocent things, filming for a current, upcoming stream,
Okay.
and they dropped the case.
Are you just saying random
They
words
dropped the case because they could see that you were not harming anyone in particular.
Good.
Although many locals might have been in danger from tripping over your various tripods and
No.
cameras that you had
I don't know.
all over the pavement.
You do talk some rubbish sometimes.
I just wanted to... Right, let me put this
Can I-
case down.
Yes, put the case down. You may rest your case.
There's another
There's
one.
another one. If you rest your case, it means you have made your argument. You are trying to put your argument forward, or maybe you are making a point. And when you end that argument, when you stop talking, you say, I rest my case. I feel as if I have proved my point. I rest my
You
case.
said everything you want to say on that particular matter. Often you say that in conversations with people, don't you? I've said what I want to say. I rest my case.
We do.
Now let's have a look. You
Well,
carry
yes,
on
well,
talking.
I'm going to talk about what I've been doing this week. I've been a busy bee. I have been out and about in Much Wenlock, filming a new lesson coming soon. I am busy at the moment editing in the studio. That's what I've been doing for the past 2 days. But last week I was in Much Wenlock, the place in which I live, and I was doing some filming, but something very strange happened. I was filming one particular sequence in the town square, and suddenly behind me someone shouted, Mr. Duncan. And I thought, well, that's odd.
It wasn't me.
And it wasn't Mr. Steve. Well, I would know it was you because I recognise your voice. And then I turned round to see where that voice was coming from, and there were 3 young lads sitting on one of the public benches in the town square, and one of them shouted, Are you Mr. Duncan? And I went, Yes, I am.
And then what did they do?
Nothing.
Report you to the police?
No, they did nothing. No, they did not report me to the police, Steve. Just stop saying things, please. No, they didn't report me to anyone, but they did sit there and carried on. They just carried on watching me. So they were very polite young people. But they obviously knew who I was. Please don't ask me how, because I don't know. I have no idea.
I want to ask a question. Is Pedro on today?
I don't know.
Well, I haven't seen him, but I had a message from somebody to say that it was Pedro's birthday.
Yes, I think it was one of those automated messages from Facebook.
But was it true?
So, Pedro Belmont, if you are here today, was it your birthday?
Because I sent you a special message.
Did you?
I did indeed.
You haven't been sending naked photographs to people again, have you?
Not this time.
Not this time. Good.
No, not this time.
Because, you know...
Somebody says here, interestingly enough, Patch Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen you before. Welcome. Thanks to Mr. Steve, I now understand how to pronounce the sound H.
Oh, I see.
H.
Uh-huh.
As some other Italian learners struggle with this sound.
Mm.
Watching how I move my mouth, you can understand how to, as in home.
Mm.
Home. But that's a different. There's different ways of pronouncing H.
What I always say, Steve, is imagine that you're cold. Imagine that you feel cold and your hands are freezing. So what you normally do is you blow on your hand like this. That is one of the sounds of the letter H in words such as home, home, house, happy. So now you know.
Harmony.
Now you know.
Thank you for that. Yes. Yes. So H. There isn't a word. You don't never pronounce H like that in a word, do you?
No. Unless, of course, you're saying the letter H.
Yes.
So if you say the letter H, that's how you'll say it. You rarely say ha, because it doesn't make sense. So the correct name for that particular letter is H. H.
But we would normally, if in a word, it would be like home.
So that's normally how it's pronounced
Or happy,
when it's used in the language.
as you said. Happy.
Maybe you're going out for a date or on a date with a sexy young lady and you have to make sure that your breath is not stinky. Maybe you will go because you want to smell your breath to make sure later on when you move forward to give her a big sloppy kiss that she doesn't move away and say, "Oh, your breath stinks. Do you ever clean your teeth?" That sort of thing.
We're not on for long today, are we, Mr. Duncan?
We are only on for an hour. Lots of things going on. You know what life is like. And we are finding out as well, aren't we? What life is like.
Yes.
Life moves at a very fast pace. Sometimes good things happen. Sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes good and bad things happen at the same time.
Well, sometimes it's very slow for a long time, and then a lot of things all happen at once.
Yes.
Which is what's happening to us at the moment. So, a bit of an upsetting day yesterday for me. We won't go into it.
No, even though you are.
But, yes.
That's all we'll say.
A lot of people watching will know what's been going on.
I do like the way the birds are coming down behind us. If you notice behind us, there is the bird feeder. And now and again you will see the birds coming down to have something to eat because they know us very well. They are friends of ours. All of the birds around here know who we are. They love coming into our garden, don't they?
Anything in particular that we're going to talk about today, Mr.
Well,
Duncan?
we've just talked for 25 minutes, can you believe? So I'm sure we can find something to talk about. We never run out of things to talk about. One thing that I want to mention very briefly. Now, I was going
briefly.
Yes. Okay, Steve.
Brief. We mentioned brief earlier. Briefs. Briefly.
Yes. Well, if something is being done briefly, it means it's being done quickly or over a very short time. It is being done briefly, how it is being done.
I think legally.
And now I can't remember what
you were going to briefly. You said we were going to briefly do something.
Yes. Okay.
I've interrupted Mr. Duncan's train of thought.
Here it is. Today I was going to talk about a completely different subject. I was going to talk about debt.
Oh, what were you going to say then?
Because I think debt is something we're all thinking about at the moment. A lot of people borrow money. I feel that borrowing money is something you can't avoid in life. You have to do it at some point. Maybe you are starting out with your first house. Quite often you will have to borrow some money. But I'm not going to talk about that. Instead, I'm going to talk about some ways that you might want to share, ways of saving money.
Oh,
because
yes.
That's another thing at the moment. Now, when I say save money, I don't mean put money into the bank. What I mean is how to avoid spending money. Everyone is feeling it at the moment. Apparently, here in the UK, can you believe, Steve? Here in the UK, we have the highest cost for energy in the whole of Europe. But I think, actually, I say that, but I think Germany is now catching up. Because apparently they have absolutely no energy at the moment.
So this is, maybe they're not getting enough sleep.
Yes.
Maybe, that was a joke, by the way.
Good.
So this is obviously in connection with the cost of living crisis.
That's it.
Or, as they're calling it in the UK, a catastrophe.
They are slightly going overboard. They are using a lot of hyperbole to describe the situation. Now, I do believe that there are lots of people who are going to suffer because of all of these price rises. But what I want to talk about is, are there any ways of saving money or not spending so much money? We found a very good one, didn't we?
We've mentioned it before.
One of our favourite ways of saving money at the moment is to use less electricity when we're cooking.
Yes.
So that's a good one because, of course, electricity suddenly has become very expensive, hasn't it?
And it's just doubled again in price in the UK. Different countries have different ways of setting their energy levels, but here in the UK we have these sort of price caps, and they've just been increased again. So the price of electricity...
Well, can I just explain that?
Go on then.
So when we talk about a price cap, that means that you are controlling the level or the cost of something so it will never go over that rate. So it makes sure that everyone can afford their gas or electricity. However, we, here in the UK, we've just raised the cap. So it was low and now it's much higher, which means that the energy companies can now charge much more for their electricity and gas and other things.
And they need to, because if they don't, they will go out of business. So the government set these limits. Yes, there is a bit of a crisis. So I would say the price of electricity in the UK has probably at least trebled in the last 12 months. Let's just...
Wait there. No, it's okay. I'm sorting that one out.
Okay. So it's at least doubled. It's trebled in price now, and probably will go up 4 times by January of next year, which of course is going to cause a lot of problems for many people, because everything else is going up at the same time, the cost, because of inflation, which is at 40-year highs.
Yes, okay.
So food is going up in price, everything is going up in price, and energy, of course, is probably the one that's going up the most.
That's the one that people use all the time.
You can't avoid using that.
Energy, electricity, from the very moment you wake up in the morning, suddenly you are using electricity. In fact, you are using electricity even when you're not using it, because you might have a refrigerator in your kitchen. So that is always working. That is always coming on, then going off. So you are always using some electricity. And because the price of electricity and energy has gone up, it has a lot of people saying it has skyrocketed. I love that phrase. If something skyrockets, it means it goes up very, very fast and to a high point.
I'm wondering whether Lewis has made... I think whether Lewis has misunderstood what we said.
Yes.
We didn't say we were going to talk about death. It was debt.
Yes, I've put that on the screen already.
Oh, I see.
I've
right.
explained
Okay.
it.
Well,
Okay.
strangely enough, certain cultures miss out the when you've got a TH together, they still pronounce it as a T. So, Afro-Caribbean, for example, English, the word death would be pronounced as debt, because they don't pronounce the TH as a th in the word.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why so some people, so the debt and death, if you're an English-speaking Caribbean person, would be pronounced in much the same way.
Yes. Well, that is more about accent.
Yes, well, it's just the way they pronounce it. They don't pronounce the TH as a th.
That's it, because of the accent. So
Yes.
the accent leaves off the TH sound. Anyway, back...
Your debt or how to save money. That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're actually talking about.
Well, of course, we're using. We could have saved money today by not doing the live stream.
Yes.
Because we're using electricity.
Well, we are
we
are saving money because we're not using the studio.
Oh, so you haven't got all the lights on.
Well, no, we're outside.
So
we have the sun to keep us lit.
So this is a money-saving exercise that Mr. Duncan is doing.
It isn't.
So are we going to do it outside every week?
That is just a coincidence.
I see, but we could do it every week.
No,
outside.
we're not.
Okay.
We are not doing it outside every week. This is just what I like to call a one-off.
Oh, right,
So we're not going to be outside every week.
But we could be.
We could be, yes, we could. Yes, we could anything. I could go to the moon tomorrow.
Because I think Mr. Duncan's lights probably contribute to 50% of our electricity bill.
I think that's rubbish.
Mind you, you see, there again, talking about saving energy bills, you have switched to LED lights.
Yes. Well, low energy.
Low energy bulbs.
Yes.
The problem with low energy bulbs is, Mr. Duncan, is that they are in of themselves expensive to buy.
Yes, we've talked about this so many times. Yes, they are expensive.
Well, yes, but the point I'm making is you've got to work out how long it's going to take you to get that money back.
Yes.
And the new LED bulbs are quite expensive.
That's it.
So I think it could take you maybe a year or 2 years to get your money back in savings. So probably not worth changing them until the other ones break.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
But I don't know. But that certainly long term. That's why people say, if you get solar panels.
Well, yes.
For
Well,
example.
anything is an investment, isn't it?
Well, there will be a period of time.
Any new form of energy is an investment, because there's the other one where you drill a hole in the ground and you drill so far you get to the Earth's core, and then all the lava comes up into your kitchen, all the molten rock, and then you all huddle around it and keep yourself warm.
So we're talking about things that will save money instantly,
Yes.
like coming outside and not using the
Yes.
turning the electricity off.
Yes. The lights, for example, in your house at night. A lot of people go from room to room and they always leave the lights on. So instead, switch all the lights off and only use the light that you're using at that moment.
Use a slow cooker. We've discussed that. Only uses sort of 60 watts.
Yes, this is the thing that we've talked about a few times. We haven't actually mentioned it today, but that is the big thing that we've changed. So we've started cooking, instead of using electricity on the big stove, we now use the wonderful slow cooker. And it uses a very small amount of electricity, but you can cook lots and lots of different types of food. In fact, Steve did something very nice the other night.
My sort of lentil dal, an Indian dish with lots of vegetables, lentils, mild spices in there. And the great thing about, and this is another way to save money, Mr. Duncan, cook your food in batches.
Yes.
So you've got enough that you can maybe have it for the next day. So rather than have to cook every day, cook the meals in batches, and then you can reheat it very quickly in the microwave, which uses less energy, or you can freeze it. And I've mentioned, I think a couple of weeks ago, a friend that he puts his oven on and cooks sort of 4 meals at the same time in the different racks in the oven.
Yes.
And then freezes it. So the oven's only on one time, using all that heat that's in there to cook lots of meals. And we had a suggestion, I think it was from Mika. Hello, Mika. Saying, why don't we grow vegetables in the garden? Well, yes.
That's it. A lot of people are. A lot of people now are starting to grow their own vegetables, and it is something that's been popular for a number of years. A lot of people, you might not realise this, but some people, they have their own plot of land that they can rent from the local council, and they can grow all their food on that piece of land. So it is something that's been popular for many years, but I think it might become more popular because of all of the problems at the moment.
It's very fashionable to grow your own vegetables. A lot of people are doing that now in the UK. It went out of favour. Went out of favour is a phrase that means wasn't very popular for many, many years. But now it's coming back because people are thinking about ways of how they can stretch their budget. There's a good phrase, Mr. Duncan. Stretch their budget.
To make your money go further.
That's right. So, yeah, you've got so much money to spend. What can you do to stretch that out to make it last for longer? I think we could very easily grow tomatoes and carrots. I might do that, Mr. Duncan, because there's a patch of ground that I need to redo where the conifers died, and I could always have. The thing is, vegetables are so cheap in the shops.
But it's so much trouble because once you plant vegetables, the first thing that happens is all the insects, all the creatures, all of the various wildlife around here come and eat them. So you would spend most of your time trying to stop these things being eaten. It would become a very big job.
Well, my father used to grow all our vegetables when we were younger. He had a big patch of ground that he grew beans, runner beans on stakes, big pole stakes. He used to grow potatoes, carrots, broccoli. He grew everything. I don't know how he fitted it all in around his very busy job, but he was always outside every weekend growing vegetables. A lot of people buy these what they will have raised beds.
Okay.
A raised bed. So that's the latest fashionable way to grow your vegetables in the UK. Instead of digging up the ground, you fit like a square. It's a big square plot with wood as a frame.
It's a box full of dirt.
Yes, quite big, gigantic. And then you fill it full of dirt, and then you grow your vegetables in that. But of course, that in itself is going to be expensive to do. So will you get your money back by growing vegetables if you've spent hundreds on a raised bed?
Yes.
You might as well just dig the ground up and put some peat and nice stuff in it. But of course, that's more effort.
Yes.
So
everyone
rather
has
do
some people are restricted because maybe they don't have a big garden. So that's why these boxes, you can grow things in boxes full of dirt instead. Anyway, we've had a lot of things on the live chat. We seem to be ignoring the live chat.
I never ignore the live chat.
Inaki says here, in our country, the lighting of the public buildings will now stay off from now on during the
Right.
night time.
Good.
So that's a good one. Well, I remember years ago, Steve, and this is something I've noticed. I've noticed these days a lot of the street lights, so the lights that stay on at night, stay on all night. They don't actually switch off. So I always think to myself that maybe that is also a waste of electricity, keeping the street lights on all night.
The reason it was done, of course, or is done, is because it should make, particularly in towns and cities, it should make it very much safer to walk around at night.
Without being mugged or robbed.
Yes, and driving on a motorway with the lights on is a lot safer. It's, from my experience, if you drive a long way on very dark motorways, it's more stressful to drive in those conditions. And of course, they are switching public lighting, like street lighting, motorway lighting, to these low energy bulbs. So they're going to be using less electricity, but they could switch them on slightly later and maybe switch them off earlier.
Yes.
And yeah, I think a lot of countries will be doing that. I bet they'll be doing that in Germany, where they could, well, they've been talking about in the UK having to switch, have periods of time when the electricity goes off.
We can't do that. Sorry, please. Please, if the electricity company is listening at the moment, I'm sure you might be there listening in. Please don't start switching off the electricity because I won't be able to do my live streams.
We'll have to get a battery, Mr. Duncan.
Yes.
I'm worried about blackouts, says Magdalena.
Oh.
Well, yes, that could well happen.
Yeah.
I grew up in the 1970s, and there was a energy crisis in the 1970s, and lots of people on strike and things like that. And in order to save money, the government switched off the electricity during periods of the day then in the 1970s.
And that was also a period of time where energy was expensive.
And inflation was high.
And oil was expensive. So it's very similar. What's happening now is very similar to what happened in the late 1970s, when everyone was trying to survive. And they had a name for it. They called it the Winter of Discontent. Everyone was feeling annoyed because they had no electricity, they couldn't pay their bills, and everyone was going on strike. So that's what we called it back then.
Giovanni asks about the... hello, Giovanni. Rivetti asks... Rivetti... I must put my tongue at the roof of my mouth when I pronounce the T in Italian. I believe that is the correct way of doing it. What is the usual word? Kitchen garden. Yes, a kitchen garden is a small garden. It wouldn't be the raised beds that we talk about. A kitchen garden is usually, literally, something that you might have plants in your kitchen growing, or just it refers to a very small, maybe very small little container of soil that you would grow maybe herbs in.
So it's a sort of indoor garden.
It can be indoors, but it also refers to a small, maybe little pots of soil, very small ones.
Yes.
But you would only grow things like herbs in there, or maybe some chili peppers or something like that.
So I think it's things that you can take very easily. So if you grow your own herbs and things like that, you can use it in your cooking. Maybe you have to add some flavouring.
It just means a small garden, but not necessarily outside a kitchen garden. Just, well, it could be, but just very small, and you would only grow things like herbs and maybe a few little tomatoes or something like that.
Yes.
But not very much. Yes, Magdalena, I have a garden, but the soil is very low quality. No vegetables will grow there.
Oh.
So yes, so you need to follow some horses and cattle and collect the dung,
The poop.
the poop from the horses and various cattle. Collect it all and shovel that into your garden.
Yes.
I mean, you could use your own poop.
You could use your own poop.
Well, that's not recommended.
No.
Uh,
Because the neighbours might be disturbed by the sight of you sitting down in your toilet
And
in your garden.
You need to leave it in the soil for a long time for it all to break down. But you need humus. You need lots of vegetable matter.
Yes.
Peat.
Something that will decompose.
That's it. You need to get some rotting vegetables and fork that all into the soil.
So
Dig it all in.
animal poop is very good. If you live in the countryside like we do, there is animal poop everywhere. In fact, we're standing in it right now. Loads and loads of cow poop everywhere.
And the flies are unbelievable.
The flies.
But yes, you can definitely improve the quality of your soil. I mean, you can look that up, and then you'll be able to grow vegetables in it. It probably just needs some fertilizer and some rotting vegetable matter.
Yes.
Or lots of peat. You can buy bags of that to improve the quality of your soil.
So we're talking about saving money. You can grow your own food. You can try to save electricity by turning off the lights, or maybe using low energy light bulbs, or maybe appliances that use very little energy. And I suppose the big one that we haven't even mentioned yet, and it is the big one, because here it is September next week, and we all know what that means.
What?
The temperature will start to slowly drop, and then as September arrives and then October comes, we all know what's happening. As autumn proceeds along its way, we know what's waiting for us, and that thing is winter, when it gets really cold. So I think that's the big problem: how to stay warm when it's freezing cold.
Well, you see, we'll have to... this always makes you laugh, doesn't it? Whenever they talk on the television, on the news, about energy prices,
Yes.
gas prices, electricity prices, it's always, while the reporter is commenting about it, there are always lots of films and videos being shown of people turning down their thermostats.
Well, they'll use it as a way of demonstrating what the story is about.
Yeah.
It's normally people turning off all of their things.
And it always makes us laugh.
Yes.
Because, we don't... if they're talking about something as simple as that, you don't need to have a film playing showing somebody turning down their room thermostat or switching off a light or turning the gas down.
But they do that because most media outlets assume that people are stupid. That's the reason why.
There was a funny one the other night.
Anyway, we're drifting so far away from what we're talking about, Steve.
Talking about saving money.
Yes, but you're not. You're talking about video playback in news items.
But it was just a humorous comment.
Yes.
We saw one the other day where they'd obviously filmed this lady in her home going to her energy wall box with all her meters in it and opening it and going,
Yes.
Like
Well,
that. It was
I get the feeling that someone had actually told her to do that. Right, Mrs. Jones, what I want you to do is I want you to look at the electricity meter, and then when you look at it, I want you to shake your head in disbelief. And they did that. They actually did it.
We understand the story. We don't need to actually see, it's just enough for them to tell us what's happening.
Magdalena has plenty of cat poop. So if anyone needs...
Oh, yes.
If anyone needs some cat poop, apparently Magdalena has lots and lots of it.
Well, she mentioned this last week about this problem with the cats
Yes.
in her garden. Well, there's the answer then to get the cat poop and just fork it into the ground.
Yes.
Leave it for 6 months.
You just mix it into the ground. So every time you see the poop, I don't know why cat poop always smells. I've noticed this. Cat poop has a very strong smell, but dog poop doesn't. Not that I'm going around sniffing poop. Can I just say that now? I don't have any desire to do that. But I have noticed from years ago when we used to have a cat, sometimes the cat would have an accident on the carpet. It would leave a little poop, but it always used to stink. I don't know why.
I think it's what you feed. I mean, I've noticed that with my own poop, Mr. Duncan. Depending on what you eat, the smell is stronger, isn't it? I mean, if you have a curry, well, I mean, don't go in there for a couple of hours afterwards.
Into the toilet.
But, if you have sort of bland food or you eat some foods, there's nothing, is there?
No.
It's a good experiment that to see which foods create the greatest stink.
Why do we always end up talking about poop?
We do, yes.
Yes.
I grow only herbs and bee-friendly flowers, says Magdalena.
Lovely.
Well, maybe you've got a kitchen garden, a small patch of ground that you just grow certain plants in.
Yes.
And it means it's much easier to maintain. You don't have to spend hours forking over the soil.
Yes. You keep saying that. I don't know what that's going to come out like on the...
know.
When you fork, you can say that you mix it in. You
mix it using
in.
a fork.
Yes, or anything. You can use your hands.
Not when there's poop around, Mr.
Yes,
Duncan.
you can use your hands.
Nitram says, are you looking forward to winter? I wouldn't say looking forward to it.
No, but the thing nowadays, though, don't you think, Steve, sometimes, especially with these weird weather situations, we might not even have winter. It might be really hot.
This is it.
Yeah.
So if we get a mild winter, then we won't have to turn the heating on so much. And we've got oil here. We don't have gas.
No.
We might be safe, Mr. Duncan, because the price of oil has come down a lot. Quite a lot since it peaked in sort of April time.
Yes.
It's come down a lot. So we might be, because we don't use gas for heating here. We haven't got gas pipes.
No.
We have to use oil, and that, relatively speaking, I think is cheaper than gas.
Yeah.
So we might be okay, Mr. Duncan. So we can rent out our home.
You might say that the oil price is quite volatile. It goes up suddenly, then comes back down.
But it's sort of stabilising a bit now. But I think it's probably going to be cheaper than gas. So I think, we'll be all right. So I don't know why we're even talking about this.
No,
Mr.
and I
Duncan.
can always put more clothes on. I can wear my big fluffy coat, and maybe I can give Mr. Steve a cuddle as well. Maybe Mr. Steve can keep me warm on those cold winter nights.
You're on your own. Palmyra mentions that in India, cow poop is used as fuel.
That's true.
Yes.
Yes. I've seen a couple of documentaries about this, how poop is now being turned into a source of fuel.
I think it's sort of dried out in the sun,
I think so.
and then you burn it. Well, there's an idea.
It's like dried blocks of poop, a bit like coal.
Full of energy.
Yeah.
So we can try that with our own, Mr. Duncan. And, we can dry it out. We should have been doing this all summer.
Yes.
Because with all the hot weather that we've been having,
Yes.
we could have dried out a lot of poop.
There's never a shortage of poop.
I think it's going to be, as well, cheaper to burn wood than it is gas.
Yes.
But of course, that causes pollution.
But the problem
And
is
we don't want to
finding
do
it as
that.
well. Finding it, because if you want to buy wood,
What, finding wood.
well, yes. If you what?
Oh, I'm always looking for wood, Mr. Duncan, but I never find any.
Okay. Well, maybe because you've only got a very small chopper.
Oh, we're getting naughty.
Yeah.
Yes, if only a certain person was here who would appreciate that.
Okay.
Maybe you all are.
How about all the other people that are here?
I haven't seen Pedro yet.
No, you haven't
Maybe his birthday celebrations got so out of hand that he's got so drunk on his birthday that he still hasn't recovered.
Yes.
I'm assuming it was. Does anybody know if it was Pedro's birthday?
As long as he's not in the clink again.
Yes, we don't want that.
We don't want him in the clink.
No.
So it is, yes, cat poop, dog poop, poop in general. It can be very annoying, it really can. Especially, I was going to say, the animal that it comes from can also be rather annoying. Yeah.
Giovanni
Hello.
Rivetti. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I don't know what that is.
A hot topic in his family at the moment is, should you use the dishwasher in order to save energy? Should you wash the plates by hand, your dirty dishes by hand, or should you use the dishwasher?
I can answer that question. I can. It's actually better to use the dishwasher.
Well,
Because it only uses a small amount of water, and that water then is circulated around. But if you wash your dishes with running water, then you have to run the water for a long time to wash the dishes, because you have to rinse them afterwards. So, but no, apparently this is, that I was reading a story about this. They've worked out, experts in the field of dishwashing have said that it's actually cheaper to wash your dishes in your dishwasher.
you see, I don't believe that.
Oh, okay.
They might have said that, but I don't believe it. Yes, because if you just have a bowl full of water and you use that water for all your dishes,
Yes,
and then you just carefully rinse them in cold water.
yes. That's using water.
But water's not that expensive.
Okay.
It's the heating up the water is the expensive bit, and a dishwasher is going to use a lot of energy to heat up the water inside. And then you've got to say to yourself, well, is it costing more water to heat up, more energy to heat up the water to wash those dishes, or is it going to use up more energy to heat up the water in the dishwasher?
Yes.
And I think possibly you could save more money by using sort of not very hot water.
Yeah.
One bowl full of, I think it's got to be cheaper than using a dishwasher. I don't believe these reports.
Okay.
If you are, then you need to fill it up full of washing. And certainly,
You could always use paper plates and plastic plates or paper plates. Probably better for the environment if you use plates that are made of paper. And then you just throw them in the bin. And you don't have to wash them at all.
that's good for the environment.
Yes.
And Giovanni says, do you wash them before putting them in? Well, no.
No, I never see
What's the point?
Why do people wash their plates before they put them in the dishwasher?
Yeah, that means you're using water and hot water. Some people, my mother does that. She doesn't wash them. She sort of swills them under the tap. I mean, yes, you want to get rid of all the chunky bits of food, but just scrape that off.
Yes.
If you then put it under a hot tap to wash off most of the food, then put it in the dish. I mean, for a start, that's taking you more time.
Yes.
What's the point of having a dishwasher?
It makes no
And
sense.
you're using more water and more energy to So no, scrape off the food, the
Yes.
excess food, and then
Yes.
just put it straight in.
That's it. Or maybe just when you've had your meal, you could always lick the plate like I do. if I ever have a nice meal, if I ever eat something nice, I always like to lick the plate afterwards.
That's it. Lick your plates.
Yeah, and then just
Straight in the dishwasher.
No, you don't. You don't have to do that.
No.
They're clean.
They're clean.
Just use your mouth to
Don't
clean
yes.
them.
Or if you've got a cat,
Yes. What?
and then exactly, you don't have to use any energy at all.
What do you use the cat for?
Well, cats like licking plates
Oh,
and
I see.
dogs.
I had no idea.
Yes, use your pets. Get the plates and hold them out in front and get them to lick the plates.
No.
And then you
I
don't
will-
have to put them in the dishwasher at all.
I will lick them myself. I'm not giving the dogs and the cats all the fun. I want to lick my own plate, please.
Yes, Anarchy says, I thought that dishwashers save water. Well, it depends on how you wash by hand. If you're very economical with the way that you hand wash,
Mm-hmm.
you know, one bowl of water
Yes.
with some soap in can wash a lot of dishes.
Yes.
I know, if you're not running the tap all the time,
Hmm.
you've got to be using less water
Yes.
than a dishwasher, which goes through several cycles of rinsing the water,
Yes.
and then it sends it to the waste. It's got to use more water.
Another thing, of course, is there is a shortage of water at the moment.
Right.
Here in the UK, certain areas of the UK have now stopped people from using too much water. They can't use it in the garden, they can't water their grass, so everyone's grass, all of the lovely green grass, is slowly turning brown.
Yes, the only thing you've got to think about with a dishwasher, if you're fortunate enough to have one, because not everybody has one,
No.
is that, yes, you don't want big lumps of food in there because it will clog up the filters. So
Yes.
just scrape off the excess food
Yes.
and you'll be fine.
That's it. Or lick it.
Or lick it,
Yes.
as Mr. Duncan
So when you've
suggested.
had the meal, just lick the plate, and then you can put it straight into the dishwasher, or don't wash it at all. Just put it straight into the cupboard.
And Saturino says use some bread and scrape it all
Yes.
the gravy and the excess
Yes.
food off.
You mop everything off the plate with a piece of bread.
Thang new how would you pronounce that?
You win.
This is the first time I've watched your video stream.
Hello to Tang Nguyen, watching in Vietnam, I believe. Hello from England.
Normally, Mr. Duncan would play some nice music to welcome you onto the live stream, but because we're outside today, you haven't got your usual sort of facilities available. Have you?
We are outside, not in the studio.
So we'll give you a little clap instead. But
Yes.
welcome to
Welcome.
this live stream. Please watch again.
Welcome.
Yes. So Magdalena P. German politicians have told them in Germany that they've got to have short showers or use a washing cloth instead,
Ugh.
or as we would call them
Flannel.
in the UK, a flannel, a washcloth.
They are the most disgusting things ever. If you use a little cloth to wipe your face and your body and all the other parts down there, flannels or a washcloth, disgusting things.
Well, they're all right if you just use them, say, once or twice. But when we grew up, that's how we used to wash. We had a flannel. And my mum still uses one now.
Yes.
Because that's the way people did it back in the sort of 50s, 60s, 70s. Because people didn't have showers in their houses if you go back 50 years. Not many people had a shower.
No.
They had a bath.
Yeah.
And then everybody got in the bath.
Yes.
You told me stories.
Well, we used to all bath in the same water.
Yes.
Not at the same time. Can I just say, I did not climb into the bathtub with my sisters at the same time. First of all, it would have been very crowded, but we used to use the same bath water. So one person would go first, and then the other, and then the other. But whoever was last, trust me, they came out of the water more dirty than when they went in.
But that's unthinkable today in the UK. That you see, and the reason that your parents would have done that
Yeah.
is because
Paul.
imagine having to heat up.
We were poor.
You had two sisters, so there were three of you. Then your parents, that's five.
Poor.
So if you had to fill up the bath for each person, the cost of that would be a lot
Yes.
in electricity. So
Yes.
we're returning back to these days of austerity.
Well, we couldn't use electricity because we were poor. That's
Yeah.
why.
No heating in
I
your
don't.
house.
A lot of people think I come from a rich family. I don't. My family were very poor. We were poor. We lived in a cardboard box at the side of the river.
Wasn't quite that bad.
Wasn't quite that bad, but sometimes it felt like it.
But yes, I mean, even in the 1970s, people used to, that people didn't have shower. I remember when my father fitted a shower.
Yes.
Actually, he did fit one in the 1970s, and it was like the most exciting thing ever.
Wow.
Because, of course, a shower uses a lot less energy than a bath.
Yeah.
As long as you're not Mr. Duncan and spend half an hour in there. I mean, you can put your shower on and have a good wash in less than 5 minutes. And it uses very little energy.
You know what I miss? I miss having a good soak in the bath. I don't think people do it very often now. We all use the showers, but there is nothing nicer than just running a lovely bath, filling it up and putting some bubbles in there, some lovely skin softener, something to make your skin all lovely and nice and soft. And then you climb into the bath. And what always happens, it's always too hot when you first try to go in. Why is it? Why is it always too hot? I've never had a bath in my life where the water was the right temperature.
Really?
Unless, of course, I was getting into the bath after my two sisters had used it, in which case it would be very cool.
Yes, Nitram says, why on earth would you share a bath with your sisters?
I didn't share with them. I wasn't in the bath with them.
No.
Can we just make that clear?
It was done in sequence.
Yes. So one would, then the other went in and had their bath, and then I think I was always last, being the boy.
They thought you were dirty, you see.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
It does, you see, girls first, sisters first,
Okay. So
and
what?
then you would go in afterwards.
But what's that got to do with being dirty?
Well, boys are always dirty, aren't they?
Okay.
So you could have been on your hands and knees somewhere, Mr. Duncan, with dirty knees. You could have been doing something, in the back field. You were always on your knees, weren't you, when you were younger? That's another story.
We were about 9 at the time.
Some people start young. But yes, that's it. So to save money in the 1970s, Mr. Duncan,
Yeah.
your parents didn't give you a separate bath each. You all used the same water, but not at the same time.
Not at the same time.
And
no.
what about your parents? When did they jump in afterwards as well?
No. Well, we took priority because we were the children, so they would make all of the sacrifices. So we would be all clean and lovely, and our parents would be all sort of stinky and smelly.
How
No,
did
not
they
re-
wash?
Not really. Not really. That's just a joke.
Maybe
No.
they ran a bath for themselves later.
My mum needed some help anyway because she's disabled. But my father used to, when he was at home, my dad wasn't at home all the time, you see. Oh, yes.
Yes, so we are talking about Christina. We are not talking about poop.
No.
That was mentioned, but specifically our subject for today is how to save money
You've missed
in this current crisis of...
You've missed us talking about poop. We have talked about it because we always do.
Yes, the same Saturino, the same bathwater like in a Western movie.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because that's what people used to do. Even in the 1970s. We didn't. I don't know actually whether I used to have a bath when I was younger. My mother used to bath me. And I don't know if it was the same water that my sister used. I don't know. If it was, they didn't tell me.
Okay.
But they may well have done. My father was... But showers are better for saving money. I'll tell you what's not good if you want to rack up your electricity bill, and that's a hot tub.
Well, yes, but you've got to be mental to have one of those nowadays.
Hot tubs are very popular at the moment. Well, they were. I don't know whether they are now because
No.
they use vast amounts of electricity.
You've got to be mad. or wealthy.
Same as a jacuzzi,
Yes.
although the bubbles, of course, are nice.
Yeah.
Yes, you never claimed your bath rights, says Inaki.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
No, that's a joke, you see. Instead of saying your birthrights, you say your bath rights. Well, I suppose I had to go last, you see, because ladies first. Ladies in the bath first. Splish, splash, splish, splash. Scrub, 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 scrub. Soap, soap. Get out. And then me. I had to get in last. It was like climbing into a
Soup.
bath.
Climbing into what?
Yeah.
Climbing into say something.
No, it's gone now, hasn't it?
Well, you can't have gone. Your brain,
gone.
you got to...
The whole rhythm and
Well,
impact.
just say what you were going to say.
It's gone.
Magdalena.
I was going to say sewer. It was like getting into a bath full of sewerage.
Magdalena P. That's a difficult word to say, Magdalena, to us in Britain. I can remember the tin bath on Saturday.
Oh.
Now notice Mr. Duncan's pronunciation of bath.
Yes, as you always
I know,
mention.
but I'm just saying.
Yes, all right.
I'm just saying you can pronounce it in two ways.
Steve is posh and I'm scumbag. I'm just common.
Just there are two ways of pronouncing it.
Yeah.
You can say bath or you can say bath.
Yes.
There's no R in it, but the A can be pronounced in two. This is English. I'm teaching
Yes.
English. No need to get, upset, Mr. Duncan.
He criticises me, you see,
I don't.
because I'm common. I'm just a common man.
Nothing to do with it. Yes, Nitram is making a very good statement. Try and convince the Germans to keep their nuclear power plants working. Well, yes, they're shutting them down just when there is an energy crisis because they believe that it's more environmentally friendly, although nuclear power is very clean. Doesn't produce any CO2 at all.
Okay.
Yes, there's dangers, but
Yeah.
nevertheless.
There are the occasional dangers. Dare I say, a small place called Chernobyl?
Yes, but the Germans will have very safe, sophisticated nuclear power plants that are unlikely to go wrong.
Okay.
And of course, they're also having a problem in France at the moment. Lewis will probably know, because there are a lot of I think France produces about 70% of its energy from nuclear. It's they've been very, very good on making sure that they've got lots of clean, plentiful energy. But a lot of their nuclear power plants are currently offline, I believe, for various reasons. And you see, we're thinking of building a new nuclear power plant, but it won't be ready for about 20 years because it takes that long to build one.
It takes about 10 years to build it. It takes 5 years to get it working. And then eventually you might get some electricity from it.
Yeah, so it's not a short-term solution.
No.
But yes, we can't understand why in Germany they're shutting down their nuclear power plants.
Well, I think it's all this is all because of the environmentalists.
It's the Greens,
Yes.
the Green Party.
It's Greta Thunberg. It's Greta Thunberg, and she keeps saying, "How dare you!" to everyone. And now, I would like Greta Thunberg to pay our electricity bills and our gas bills, please, if you
Yes.
don't mind.
It's all right to
well,
go green.
Here
but,
in the UK, we have demolished, we have destroyed most of our coal power stations. So we could, if we wanted to, we could start generating emergency electricity with our coal power stations, but unfortunately we've demolished them all.
and we had one close to us here
It's gone.
in Ironbridge, and it's gone. They blew it up. You filmed it, didn't you?
I didn't film it, no, I stole somebody else's live stream.
Oh, don't say that. Yeah, it's an explosion. Yes, Mr. Duncan. So we are now relying on. I mean, wind. It's good to go green. Wind power.
I've got plenty of wind.
It's all that poop again, and sort of solar. But the trouble is they're unreliable. So they're good to have, but you need a backup for when it's not windy or it's not sunny. See, solar power is great in a hot country, somewhere like Africa, where the sun's always shining. You can rely on that a lot more. And if you live in a very windy country, or maybe just off the coast somewhere, you can always rely on some wind, but not necessarily. So you want reliable sources of power. Now, Mr. Duncan's gone. I'm not sure where he's going. Presumably, there is something not quite right with the live stream. We don't know, but we'll keep going anyway. Oh, here's a good joke from Vitas. Thank you, Vitas. We can always rely on you for a nice joke. They say money doesn't grow on trees, but why do banks have branches? Oh, very funny. Talking of trees, a lot of trees are dying here because of the lack of water. Now, across Europe, of course, we've had a water crisis because there hasn't been any rain. And as soon as there's a water crisis, which is about once in every 10 years, everybody moans at the water companies for saying that they don't fix the leaks. Does that happen in your country? But we get that a lot in our country, that they will complain and moan about the water companies, saying that they aren't fixing the leaks and that's why we haven't got any water. Whereas in fact the reason is that we haven't had any rain. And there'll soon be lots of rain because winter's on the way. It's just a big news story. People like to talk about the energy crisis, the water crisis, but these soon go away and are replaced by some other news item that they want us to get excited about.
What are you talking about?
I'm not talking about anything. We're talking about why you disappeared, Mr. Duncan.
Well, I went into the studio just to make sure everything was working all right, you see, because the sound
Are replaced by some other news item that they want us to get excited about. Inaki says the thing is, energy cannot be accumulated. Yes, and what anarchy means is, or stored. So when you make electricity, it's very difficult to store it, to use it later. So electricity always has to be on demand, because unless you've got lots of batteries everywhere, then you might generate a lot of energy from the wind or the sun when that's working, but if you've got excess that you're producing, there's no way of storing it.
No.
But they are anarchy. I saw something very interesting the other day. They are trying to come up with methods of storing electricity. And one that I saw, which was very interesting. I mean, batteries is obviously one way.
Yes.
But they're very, very expensive. You couldn't use those for the.
You may have
national
noticed
power.
that cars now are starting to use batteries.
Well, that's what they're saying now. They are going to ask people, apparently, if you've got an electric car.
Yeah.
Now, there aren't very many of them now in percentage terms compared to internal combustion engines.
Okay.
But they are now going to ask you to charge your car when there's excess energy, times of excess energy, so that electricity is in effect being stored in the batteries of the car.
So you're going to run your house off your car?
Well, yes.
Well, how?
Because you can, there's going to be ways of doing that.
Really? What's the point?
Well, it's
But don't you need that energy to drive your car? What if your wife goes out to the shops?
Well, yes, but it's just...
And she takes the car with her, but you've got no electricity in the house.
But what the point that I'm making is...
It's just never going to work.
Say that you are producing...
Okay.
You know, it's very windy...
Yeah, I've just made...
And all that.
I've just punched a giant hole in that, though.
But you haven't. Because if everybody uses that... If you can use that excess energy, then later on when the wind's died down, you can then use that energy in the battery in the home. I mean, it's energy that
how
you
if the
wouldn't
car
have
isn't there?
But it's, you know, it'll help. It's all little things that'll
I see.
help. So yeah, you might want to drive the car, of course, but if everyone, 50% of the country had electric cars.
Come on, everyone has to get into the car now.
I'm not proposing everyone gets an electric car, but that would be that's one way.
Most
not
people
saying it's the only way, but it's
Okay.
one. The other way.
Okay, this is
The other way
going
is
on.
giant towers full of water
Mm.
that you use the electricity to heat up. Mr. Duncan's bored.
Ooh.
And then
I'm
you
not the
use
only
that
one.
hot water then to to remake. So you're storing energy
Yeah.
in some other way
Okay.
as heat or something
What
like
about
that.
what about ways that the average person living now can do?
Not
Those
to
are,
store. These are on national levels.
yes. Well, I'm on about just generally people now, because we don't have any of those things at the moment, do we?
No, but I'm just saying in the future.
Yeah, 30 years.
No, they could do those in the next
100?
5 years. That would be quite. They're testing various ways. The point is, Anarchy is making is that it is well known that it's difficult to store electricity.
Yes, it is.
Uh,
It's very difficult to store electricity.
Whereas we're talking about saving it,
Yes.
and we've already discussed various ways of doing
Yes.
that. Oh yes, so Christina says they're closing fountains. Do fountains use a lot of energy?
Well,
Maybe they do.
Well, I think it's because of the water.
Is it the pump?
I think it must be the water, because
To save water.
fountains use water.
Oh, because of the drought. Yes.
Yes.
That's right. So Ricardo has installed solar energy. Well, I'd love to do that.
Yes, but unfortunately, it will never pay for itself. We will be dead. We will be both dead, and we will still not have paid for the solar panels.
Well, but well, that's not necessarily true, Mr. Duncan.
Okay. They're
Because
about £25,000.
no,
aren't they?
they've come down a lot in
Mhm.
price.
So how much now?
Well, the average installation cost for
Yeah.
an average-sized house is about £5,000
Oh,
now.
that's still a lot of money.
It is, but then you will save so much electricity, and they now believe that the payback time is between 5 and 10 years.
Okay.
But with energy costs going up, doubling, trebling, that could be just a few years or 5 years
Yes.
even. So when it's 5 years, I would say to myself, yes, that's worth paying the money for. But 10 years or 15 years, I mean, it used to be 20 years to get your money back on solar panels. But, if it's 5 years, well,
Okay.
I should do it. Something wrong, Mr. Duncan? Am I boring you?
No, you're not boring me. Not at all. Are you bored out there? Because we're going in a minute. We've been on for an hour and 20 minutes.
We were only going to stay on for an hour today.
Yes.
Right, okay, yes. How about solar panels? Yes. Yes, Gossier, we've just discussed that. Yes, you can, because even when it's cloudy, they will produce a certain amount of energy.
I'm just saving some of my energy now. I'm going to shut down for a while.
This is your show, Mr. Duncan. If
Mhm.
you want to change direction.
No, it's okay. We will be going in a moment. But
Ooh, Electra was the Greek goddess
Mhm.
of electricity, maybe energy. I didn't know that.
The Greek goddess of electricity.
Well,
What? Sorry, did the ancient Greeks have electricity?
maybe it's energy then. Maybe it's energy.
Maybe it's the natural occurrence of electricity through lightning.
Yeah, so that we've all got to go around to Ricardo's house because he's got free electricity there when the sun's shining. I'm guessing, whereabouts are you, Ricardo? I'm guessing you're in a sunny country, perhaps, where you can take full advantage of that. Anything else you want to talk about, Mr. Duncan?
Is there? Oh.
Jamila says, has it rained in England? No, not really.
We have a dry week ahead of us. So it's not going to rain now until next week. Until next Sunday is the next rain that we're getting. So we have a nice few days of weather to come our way. Ooh, very nice.
The sound is better, so there was something wrong with the sound, Mr. Duncan.
I think it was just a bit low. But that's the problem. When you're doing something outside, you can't look at the equipment because the equipment is all in the studio behind me. So that's the problem. We need a third person who can control everything, because I'm the controller, but I'm out here. I'm not in the studio. Anyway, I'm glad to hear that you can hear us now. I'm sorry about that.
How long was it off for?
It wasn't off.
Oh, right, okay.
It was just low.
Low?
Low.
So we did have to speak up.
No, don't do it now, because I've turned it up.
Right, okay. Well, we're going now, aren't we, Mr. Duncan? Shall we go at past?
Yeah, shall we go at past?
Or half past? Half past or half past?
Okay, and there we go again.
Oh, yes. Nowadays, smartphones are being used to a type of recharging method called supercharge mode. But does it really save electricity? Oh, yes, that's right. So maybe that charges them very quickly.
Yeah, the problem with charging things is you have to use electricity to charge them. So that's the bit I don't understand. If you want to charge up your car, you have to charge it up with electricity. So keeping the electricity in your car then, well, surely you're still using electricity to charge the batteries. It's a little bit like the chicken in the egg. Which do you do? Because you can't just have batteries that have power. You have to put the energy into the battery, which means you have to use electricity. It's like a paradox, really.
Yes, Ricardo's from Brazil.
Mm?
And they obviously have a lot of sun there. Have you seen Pedro recently? We want to know where Pedro is, and we haven't seen him today. So if you bump into him, tell him to say hi. I saw something else there. Oh yes, that's it. That's at Saturino. Yes, very clever. There is a way to store electricity by pumping the water up from the dam.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if you pump water up high, that's using electricity to pump the water up, and then you've got then that potential energy because you release the water later, and then that generates the electricity. Yes, very clever. Using gravity.
A lot of dams do that, don't they?
That's right.
A lot of dams have maybe a turbine, so when the water flows, the turbine will turn around, and then that will generate electricity.
And then when you're not, when it's off peak, as they say, when people aren't using very much energy, they use that spare energy to pump the water back up, and then that then falls down later to generate the energy. So
good.
Yes,
Brilliant.
yes. Oh, what we're just talking about saving. Have you got any further energy saving tips, Mr. Duncan?
We've certainly covered a lot of them. I suppose one of them is just don't use any electricity or gas, ever. Maybe use candles instead. So instead of lighting your house with electricity, just use candles. And maybe you can get lots and lots of candles in one room in the house, and then you can heat the room as well with candles. And instead of having hot food, you can just have sandwiches all the time. Cold beans. You can eat baked beans out of the tin without cooking them. Have you tried that? It's lovely.
It's a fairly extreme
It's delicious.
way of saving energy.
Well, I'm just giving some ideas.
Nitram says that yes, in Finland, when their prime minister isn't having parties, somebody mentioned that earlier, they're actually funding research, and they've got a sand battery which can store green energy for months at a time. I wonder how that works. That sounds fascinating to me, not to Mr. Duncan, of course.
Sand battery.
A sand battery.
Never heard of it.
Maybe it's storing heat. I don't know how that works, but
Yeah.
yes, they are developing ways of storing sort of energy that's not being used. Right. I'm getting hungry, Mr. Duncan. Turn off all those red lights, says Giovanni. Yes, the standby.
Yes, we all have them.
We leave our televisions on with the standby button on, and over the year that uses a lot of energy.
Yes.
It does. Well, you might. It does. If you turn it off, it's saving money, isn't
A
it?
little tiny red light, it doesn't use much energy. I suppose 1 million of them, if you had 1 million of those little red lights...
But it's not just the red light that's using energy, because the power goes through to a transformer, and that's getting hot all the time. So if you've got lots of devices on, then
That's
you are
true.
wasting
Yes.
electricity.
But people are always using their chargers to charge up the batteries in their mobile phones. So there is always something on. using electricity in the house all the time, even if it's your refrigerator or maybe your heating system uses electricity. So, yeah, that's the problem. It's very hard to avoid using energy, isn't it? Very hard, very difficult.
But you can save money in other ways. You can buy less clothes, for example. If you were going to go and buy maybe some new jeans, maybe you think, well, I can keep these for another year. Only buy things when they wear out. Instead of buying a new car, think, well, I'll keep this car for another 2 years.
Shall I get a new car or a pair of trousers?
A lot of people are cancelling subscriptions, aren't they, Mr. Duncan? So if you subscribe to Netflix or something like that, or Sky TV, maybe you cancel that subscription.
BigLatinos.com.
I haven't seen that one. Then you can save money that way.
I've cancelled my subscription to that. What?
You've never let me see that, Mr. Duncan.
Anyway.
Yeah, so you don't have, if you have to pay for the energy bills, you can save money and that's what a lot of people are doing, aren't they? There's a mass cancellation of subscriptions to various things.
We don't have Netflix because most of the stuff on there is garbage. The only thing we have, I will be honest with you, I do have Amazon Prime, but I'm thinking of getting rid of that. I'm thinking of cancelling that completely as well. And no, I'm not going to watch the new Lord of the Rings TV show because I have no interest in Lord of the Rings. The book may be very interesting, very nice, but not the movies, and not this new TV show that is coming on very soon, which apparently cost $1 billion. The most expensive TV show ever made anywhere in history.
It better be good for that.
Well, I've got news for you, Steve.
Thank you, Vitas. Vitas is welcoming Cruz Castro to our live stream, so that's at least 2 new people.
Hello, Cruz Castro. Nice to see you here today. Hi, welcome.
Yes, and I hope you're enjoying it, but we're not going to be here for much longer.
No.
But we are here when? When are we normally here, Mr. Duncan?
Sunday and Wednesday. So I will be back with you on Wednesday. And hopefully I will be in the studio and hopefully everything will be back to normal. We will see what happens. You never know these days. You never know what will happen next.
Yes, cancelling subscriptions is a big thing that people are doing in anticipation of higher energy bills. So they're saving money now. And things like Netflix, Mr. Duncan, there's a lot of content on there, isn't there?
Too much.
And you can never watch it all, so do you actually get value for money?
And most of it's rubbish.
But of course we do understand, we haven't got children, but we understand the pressure that a lot of parents feel because their children are probably pressurising them to have like the Disney Channel.
Yes, Disney Plus is the one that everyone is talking about.
And you know what children are like when they want something? They don't give up. They don't give up. And you might feel pressure to... well, you can say to your children, well, do you want heating in the house? Or do you want to be able to watch films on demand?
Yes. Do you want to watch the latest pile of garbage from Disney? Or do you want to have nice warm toes and fingers?
Probably most children would probably say they would rather have the Disney Channel.
The latest garbage from Disney.
Well, I mean, they've got lots of things on there. I'm sure some of it's very good. But anyway, yes, it's gone 3:30. I'm using your accent there, Mr. Duncan. 3:30.
3:30, yes.
Oh.
It's 3:30. Well, in fact, it's not 3:30. It's actually 28 minutes away from 4 here in the UK. So shall we go?
Shall we go?
Shall we just close all of this down?
We're going early.
We're closing it all down.
Are you? Do you want to stay on?
No.
Okay.
I've had enough.
That's not very nice.
Can't take any more.
Yeah, well, yes. So we're going because we want to go for a long walk, and so we're closing down early today.
That's it.
We had a bit of a stress. Well, I had a bit of a stressful day yesterday.
Okay.
A bit upsetting, but you know, life sometimes throws you these challenges. But we'll talk about that another time,
I'm
because I might get upset.
I'm feeling a challenge right now. Standing here. Oh, here we go. I've got to get rid of the pornography.
Is that something that you would not subscribe to in order to save money?
I would definitely not subscribe to them. No.
Oh, well, luckily I don't need to date.
No, they've gone now anyway.
Oh, right.
I've deleted them.
That's good.
Let's go, shall we?
All right, everybody, you lovely viewers.
Thank you very much for watching us today, whatever this was. But everything will be back to normal. On Wednesday, I will be in the studio.
So I will sign off first.
Yes.
Goodbye to everybody. Have a lovely week.
I'm going as well.
Learn some English. Oh, we're going together?
Yes.
Okay, then.
We'll just go over there, just like this.
Aren't we going to say something first, your usual phrase?
Thank you. Okay, Steve. Thank you very much for watching us. I'm back on Wednesday. Mr. Steve is not here on Wednesday. I don't know what he's doing, to be honest. He could be anywhere in the world. And of course, until the next time we meet here, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do.
Ta. Ta.
Ta.
What's the matter, Mr. Duncan?
Ta 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 for now. I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream, and I hope you will join us again very soon.